tell them check out the blog, bro. YouTube channel called MKO. It's pugilism, boxing algorithm. M stand for Marvin and Kevin's initials KO. Yeah. What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Right about now, remember to like this channel, subscribe to this channel. You know, more content will be on its way to you shortly. So, I've just finished watching Kell Brook versus Terrence Crawford, or should I say Terrence Bud Crawford versus Special K Kell Brook. And yeah, what a result it was. You know, the fight had the winner I expected in Terrence Crawford. I did expect him to win, but the manner, the fashion in which he won this fight was something else. I mean, you know, the fight started off with Kell Brook, in my eyes, sort of taking, you know, the first two rounds, in my opinion. Kell Brook started off well. He started off quite slowly, you know, he was measured, and, you know, he was sort of boxing at a slow pace. Crawford was still trying to figure things out, trying to figure his you know, trying to get Kell Brook timed and stuff like that for the first few rounds. So Kell Brook was boxing quite comfortably, sort of in a nice little rhythm in the first two rounds. And yeah, it went well for him. First couple of rounds went well for him. And but when it came to round three, that's when, for me, the tide began to turn, because, you know, from round three, Terrence Crawford basically, you know, turned the switch on, and he switched over to the southpaw stance. And when he switched to the southpaw stance, everything changed. I began to sort of see Terrence Crawford landing more shots, you know, landing more shots at will, and that southpaw stance in that third round seemed to be Kell Brook's kryptonite. He seemed to be getting caught, and you could sort of see the effect of the punches on Kell Brook a little bit as Crawford was throwing even a southpaw jab, southpaw left hand. You could see it kind of affecting Kell Brook in a way, you know what I mean? And you could see he was troubled by it. He could see certain things coming and whatnot, but, you know, he was a bit troubled by what he was getting hit with. And yeah, that third round certainly, excuse the bumps here, just driving, but that third round definitely sort of went in Crawford's favor. You know, Crawford got much more comfortable in there. I mean, it's one of them where the first couple of rounds, Brook seemed to be the more comfortable, having his own way. But when it came to the third round, the whole tide changed, the pattern of the fight changed, and you know, sort of Kell Brook couldn't really seem to get to grips with Terrence Crawford as a southpaw. You know, he just couldn't seem to come to grips with that. So, you know, basically from that third round, he took over, and you know, just basically began to sort of outbox Kell Brook, land at will. Brook did have success with right hands here and there, but, you know, overall, you know, Crawford just sort of took over the fight. And then, you know, early in the fourth round came the finish, you know, with a barrage of punches, you know, from the southpaw stance, good barrage of punches by Terrence Crawford. And, you know, he hurt Brook. He had Brook, you know, reeling into the ropes. And you know, Brook was just out of it. I mean, Brook looked, you know, like completely and utterly shocked, and you know, that's what it was really in the end. That fourth round, that's when the conclusion came. Barrage of accurate punches from Terrence Crawford. Some of them were wide, but they were still catching Kell Brook. And yeah, it was a very exciting finish. And you know, after the fight, he was, you know, it's clear, even the team at ESPN know who he wants. He wants Manny Pacquiao, or he wants Errol Spence Jr. But yeah, it was a excellent performance by him. he done better than, he beat Brook better than, Errol Spence Jr. did. And it's an interesting one because, immediately after the fight, I'm thinking, is there a possibility that Kell Brook's punch resistance could be just shot now? Is there a possibility that, now he might not be able to take a shot? Or is it just that Terrence Crawford punches that hard? Because prior to this fight, I know Crawford can punch a bit, but I never really saw him as a puncher per se. So, that's another question mark. Is it, as Kell Brook had the sort of fight beaten out of him in previous fights, and then, that led to what we saw. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those where you've got to give Terrence Crawford all the credit in the world. And as for Kell Brook now, he's got to sit back and really think about what he wants to do in his career now. Does he want to retire? Does he want to fight somebody else? It's an open-ended question, and we'll see what happens. But for now, we just have to say congratulations to Terrence Crawford for winning the fight. And that's just my thoughts immediately in the aftermath. And until next time, this is MKO Pugilism, over and out. Let me know what you thought about the fight in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the content in these videos, and I'll catch you on the next one.